We do start on an HRM laser models kit of the Wayzata Depot, as well as talk about what goes into kit bashing and where do you really even start. When it comes down to shorts and DCC, what do we do to be able to narrow down those issues and try to catch those gremlins? And we cover all this on this episode of the GN in 1970.
70s.
All right, here it is, hrmlasermodels.com. We are looking at a Wayzata Depot, which is located on the Wilmer sub, and it's going to be built and put into the city of Wayzata on the GN in 1970. I'm going to pop this thing open and take a look at what we've got inside. We've got, of course, some basic instructions as to what materials you're going to need. We've got the roof material, as well as the elevation plans to give us an idea of what the front, side, back, and so forth looks like, as well as exploded views of the interior and the roof and so forth. Then, of course, there's all the laser cut material itself. And there's a lot of it. There's a whole pile here. I've got a lot of different pieces, which, of course, we're going to paint, but we've got to determine what pieces get painted what color. We're going to look at exactly where we're going to put this. This is Wayzata. To the west is to the left, and to the right is the east. And there's not a whole lot of space on the railroad itself, so what we're going to do here is swing around to the side and take a look at the possibility of expanding the edge of the railroad just slightly to add this particular depot. I'll protect it with plexiglass around the perimeter if need be, but I think this thing could be a crown jewel for the location on the railroad itself. As you can see, the footprint is fairly sizable. We're looking at the actual cardboard roughly is about 21 inches long, and it's about 9 inches deep. But as you see here, it'd be a nice vantage point to imagine a passenger train blasting by this depot. While doing some research on this FP40 of Amtrak's, I ran across this photo. It's a Chicago Northwestern transfer caboose. I thought, man, that thing is so cool. I want to do that in HO scale. So I did. I ended up kit bashing this, and I've had a number of people ask me, well, where do you start with kit bashing, and how do you come up with some of this stuff? Honestly, junk. This is a car that I wanted to load from, so I tore it out, but I kept the car. Don't have an attachment to the car, so I start chopping it up and turning it into the transfer caboose. And when it really is all said and done, this is all a learning curve. I end up finding some of the techniques and just refining them as I go. Now, here's another car that I ended up looking at, and I thought, man, a Husky hopper is kind of cool. I like the GBW. So here we go. We got a 100-ton hopper. Just chop it up into pieces, and we start to create the final product, which ends up looking like this. And I was pretty happy with the results until somebody comes along and says, hey, Green Bay Western Historical Society has an article on making those cars. And I thought, you got to be kidding me. There's a full breakdown exactly what goes into these cars. So this is a great example of why you should be a part of a historical society, especially if you like particular railroads. They've got research information like this, and I'm sure you can go through archives and find some of that information just by doing a little digging. So it's totally worth it to be able to create something that is unique like this and have somebody give you a breakdown on how to do it. Now, speaking of refining, when I mentioned that Chicago Northwestern one before, I had somebody commission me to build this particular piece. It's a maintenance of way Chicago Northwestern caboose. And, after doing one, I figured I'd do two. And the second one, I think, turned out even better. So that's just a lesson learned that if you're going to kit bash and do some of these things, it's not going to be your first one that turns out amazing. Maybe not even the second, third, fourth, or fifth. But eventually you get down these skills to be able to refine. And when it comes down to customization, you'll have those skills to be able to create pieces like this.
Oh yeah, that's a real beauty right there.
Now we move on to the brick of the actual depot, and what we've got here is actually Rust-Oleum flat red primer. Ends up giving a nice color for the brick itself, and once I've gotten that taken care of, I start to address the actual foundation. I test fit it in place to make sure that it is going to drop into where I want it. Now I'm going to end up having to go with the actual footprint looking like this. There is supposed to be a little pavilion that goes out off the back side, but it's not going to fit. Because in the location where I'm putting it,
enough of the buzzers already.
We'll have to find a solution to be able to kit bash this. Now, for the foundation itself, I end up using flat gray primer just to be able to create the concrete look. I'm going to weather and, of course, address each of these pieces in a little bit more detail as I move forward. But speaking of details, take a look at all the parts that are in this kit. I lay them all out to give myself an idea of what I'm working with. It looks intimidating, but just like anything else, if you break it all down, it's not as bad as it looks because you're just actually taking each section and each part and you're going to paint them all up and actually assemble the kit itself. I mean, come on, you built an airplane kit or a model car kit when you were a kid. It's not that much different, is it? You're looking at all the different pieces and you want to address each one appropriately. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm making a game plan on how to move forward with these particular parts. Now, looking at the pavers themselves, they're actually surrounded by a curb. And this curb, I'm just using a paint marker to be able to paint the actual curb color gray so I don't have to go along with a brush and try to brush it all in. It might seem like a little bit more of a painstaking process to go about it this way than maybe laying down paint, but I felt like it was a lot more accurate and a lot cleaner look. So I'm going to continue doing this. It's going to take a little while, but I think our end result will be worthwhile. All right, so here's where we're at, and I think this is where we're going to leave it. I got a little more research to do to figure out exactly what color the trim colors were, as well as a few of the other details on the depot itself. All right, it's time to take that test. Which GN Herald was most common to be seen on a trackside depot? Was it A, B, or C? If you guessed A, you'd be correct, because it actually is that blue ring around the perimeter that denotes it as a GN Station Herald. All right, here's something I gotta cover, and this is Union Yard. This was actually originally a DC railroad. We have DCC in. It's all set to the C cab. A beautiful job. Beautiful. By Colin, our master electrician. He went through and did a phenomenal job on the back end of this entire railroad. And I say that because we actually can still use the cab system, but in DCC by wiring our power shields right to those cab buses. So with the railroad right now, it's sitting dead in the water, and my dad was complaining that he wasn't able to get the thing up and running. So I figured, why not run out here and at least troubleshoot to see what's happening. By troubleshooting, what I do is turn the whole entire railroad, or at least Union Yard here, into the off position. If we're bringing up a short or anything like that, I'm killing all locomotives in this yard. If there's a switch on the panel in the off position, it means that there might be power there and we've turned it off. So we'll swing over to the command station and turn the system on. So right now I've just turned the command station on. I check the power shields, make sure the 2 blocks that it's feeding have come to life, which they have. And I go over to the booster and I turn those on, and I'll take a look at the power shield and see if they've come to life as well, which they have. And I'm going to go back over the panel now and slowly bring the system online to see if there's a short or what might be causing our issue. In this case, now I can turn to the C on each of these. It's, again, C is DCC. And we'd have no shorts that we're showing. And I'll also check the yard tracks to make sure that if they're in the off position, if there's a locomotive sitting on them. So what I'm going to do is turn this one on because I know there's an SD sitting over there. And we'll see if we can power it up and bring it to life. This is GN 576, and we're using a Digitrax throttle, so I've got it here, and I'm just going to log in and see if we can power it up. All right, I can see that I've got power, and we're able to move backward and forwards. As you can see, as a DC system is concerned, you don't have to go completely just one power bus. You're able to use your power shields, run them into their different zones, and then if you can, tap into your power blocks that you originally had for DC, and you're up and running. So we've had success with this. It's been great. The railroad itself, again, kudos to Colin for the phenomenal job he did wiring this particular railroad. And since we've got this thing up and running, we might as well at least run a train. Well, look here, from episode 1. It's the tow truck that we had done. Hard at work, towing the Ford Mustang. I'm guessing he's probably towing it because it's a Ford. And in the distance, we actually have a Paragon 2 working hard. That's a Broadway Limited unit. Great Northern SD7, SD9. I can't remember which it was, but it's an SD nonetheless, number 576. And then the pair of 636s. These are made by Bowser with Loke Sound. They are just going to actually pull up across the crossing and I think hold up to probably hop off and talk to the tow truck driver. All right, well, those guys stopped for a break. If you heard in the background, a little person talking, that's my youngest, and we're going to probably go grab something to eat. Take care.
70s.
We really enjoyed creating these episodes of the GN in 1970 as well as Sue the Milwaukee Road. The only way we know if you guys like these is hit that like button. You can hit it, click it, smash it, whatever it is that you're into. You can hit the subscribe button if you want to see on future episodes. Just make sure you ring that bell. And if you want to see more of the Great Northern, you can take a tour of the GN in 1970, which covers the HO scale Wilmer subdivision. You can also check out other episodes that I've done of Sue the Milwaukee Road that covers the 1985 merger of the Soo Line and Milwaukee Road in HO scale. Thanks a lot for watching.